Okay, so welcome to the Alchemy of Thoth. Okay, and this is the Seven Hermetic Principles. And you'll be able to get this recording on YouTube. I'll always post it for those that can't get there. The temple, as you already probably know, is a free space. Okay, so because that's not what we're doing here. I've got to take these off. I can't put my glasses on. Oh no. This for now. Okay, this is obviously a free space. All of my offerings are for free. So basically, there is no excuse. You've got to just show up and turn up. And that is essentially what the temple is. You know what I mean? We were never charged back then to get in the temple, and we certainly aren't going to do it now. So the temple is a gathering place for all of us. The teaching changes every single. Hello, guys, as you're coming in. Hi, 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 hi. I see a lot of you. I don't want to be ignoring you, but hi. So the temple is a place where we will gather. So just to remind you, the way that YouTube works, YouTube is my playground. If you utilize it, you can really go through a journey, right? So you can actually start with the lives. I will always do a live on a 10-10 portal, 11 level portal, whatever, which will be ceremony. And then we will go through the tone of the month where you'll be looking at the videos, pick what you want, work with what you want. But I'm doing it. I'm like alchemy is building. So by the time Azira, Azira, sorry, I like it. I love it. So as we get to the end of the month, of course, we kind of like topple into the temple. And then that becomes like a space like this where you might want to ask questions or whatever, but it's a lot more interactive and it's a lot more personal, right? So there's a whole alchemical process for each month on my YouTube as to however you want to work with it, right? Now, I have been writing, obviously, the Gospel of Marie principles today. There could be, I don't know, I'm just going to roll with it because there could be a huge chance here that we might actually end up doing 2 classes here, or we might go over a little bit. I don't know, but you're trying to bag this in to 2 hours. And as we are all very well aware, these particular principles are deep. They're really, really, really deep. And, and they can't be rushed, so, and I've actually been writing on this a lot about what Thoth has been saying. One cannot jump from one principle to a next because you just lose it and you miss it and you defeat the whole object, right? So I'm going to just roll with it and we'll get to where we get to, and we'll see what comes up and how we feel, because what I don't want to do is actually overload us just because of time and the sake of teaching, boom, boom, that's done. So we want to honor the space, see where we're at. If we end up like splitting it into 2 classes, I'll do the beginning of next week. And whether you're able to make it live, great. If you can't, you'll be able to get it on YouTube. So I won't be leaving a long gap if we do have to split it into 2. So that's just the technical downloads that I was getting, Okay, so now I just want to acknowledge that there is everybody that basically connects with me, okay, and I connect with you. It's for very, very good reason, because we're all masters, right? But there's a certain front line that said that they would step through now to unlock, release their encodements to do with Thoth, to do with the tablets of light or whatever. And it was meant to be done now. And so many of us are like, all of a sudden, after coming out of this very big dark night of the soul over October, I've literally just got out of bed. I've been sick for a whole month. Now I've actually just awoken now and kind of like come right and just really gone through this brand new, like, whoa, with this leveling the teaching and what it means. And as I've gone through that, more people are coming into my space, and that whole I know nothing is disintegrating, because there's a teacher in every single one of us. And I have the urgency of Thoth, who I've been channeling with privately all this week, and he has been on me just like, get the people to the temple, no more of this shadow stuff, because what you're holding deeply within, which he gave you a tablet of light. It's really important that like that comes out and is expressed in the world now. And that's by no means a little thing. So what is that to you? That's what we need to do now. So we're at that tentative place where the old timeline has now fallen away, and we're now like literally on the edge of the bungee jump, and we got to go for it. And that's actually quite a critical point of like, oh my God. But by the time we get into next year, you're going to be living the dream. What was the dream? It was always your reality. It was always your reality. Others are coming. Others have signed up to collab with you, to be with you, to respond to your energy once you unlock these codes. That's our job, to now start living, not just be like what I call like an armchair priestess or an armchair initiate, meaning reading the books at home, and trust me, I've been there, reading the books at home and going, yeah, great, and then kind of going out the front door and becoming someone else. No, those 2 worlds now have to come together. But in truth, that old timeline is actually it's all gone with that. So now we've got this embodiment coming in, and that's how I'm going to share the principles with you guys, gospel according to Marie, on how they show up in my life, something more tangible rather than leaving it in the ethers and being ancient up there and having that separation. Now, just to bring, because we're going to go into a little bit of a breath work, kind of like grounding in a second, just to bring the group together. But what needs to be understood, which is coming through quite strongly, is Thoth used to work very, very closely with Isis. Many say that they were possibly, it was her father, excuse me, coughing. I just had Brazil nuts. Sorry, that was nothing spiritual. I just ate nuts. So, so that was actually spoken about by so many people off the record. And in a way, it kind of rings true. Mythology would say otherwise, because he used to help her with everything that she did to do with her magic. He's the god of magic. She's the goddess of magic as well. And there was a close connection. But what he used to do is, because she had that earthly incarnation, he used to express his teachings through her. So when Horus got stung by the scorpions and nearly died, she had to go and get a spell off Thoth, and actually had to help her son. So she had to really eat, sleep, and breathe. Even though she was a goddess in human form, she had to step up and actually bring the two together. So we're no different to Isis, but that's what they want us to know. We really are their aspect, and vice versa. And that's the bridge that we're collapsing now, knowing that we are indeed them and vice versa. No more being separate of each other, of them, you know? So without further ado, I'm going to just ask you guys just to get comfortable, and we're just going to do an exercise, a breathing exercise, meditation, just to bring us down into the space and bring us into this gathering. So now, as you settle into your space, just closing your eyes and just allowing, well, you've probably just got up, or if you're at the end of the day like me, either or, wherever you are, just letting it just fade out a little bit. And then as you're breathing, bring a little bit of a louder sound to your breath. So you can start to hear your breath and have that sound. If there's cars in the distance, maybe something going on in the background, really come into that present space. Be aware of your surroundings acutely. And as you breathe a little deeper now, I invite you to close off the back of the throat, bringing in the ujjayi or ocean breath. So breathing in, allowing the breath to rise all the way up the spine. Pausing. And exhale. And breathing in. And breathing out. Now as you breathe in, you're really scanning the body all the way up. And when you get to the top of your breath, exhale and just release it from your energy field. Let it go. And then one more breath like that, keeping your focus inward, scanning and breathe out, letting it go. And now on this last breath, do exactly the same, but be conscious to let your jaws relax, shoulders, belly relax. As you breathe out, just feel like you're internally sighing. And now focus your breath into your heart space. Breathing into the heart and breathing out. Start to focus your breath a little deeper now into the heart. And as you do so, you start to activate the opening of your heart portal, just like a lotus flower. And now when you breathe into the heart, on the exhale, I want you to send your breath all the way down your cord, all the way down towards Gaia's heart. You'll know the way. All the way out. Pausing when you get to the heart of Gaia. And now inhale, graciously drawing up her love and connection all the way up your cord into your heart. And pausing. And then sending your love all the way down to her. Down your cord. Into the earth. And keep rolling with that rhythmic breath. The ebbs and the flows. Feeling the receiving and the giving. the receiving and the giving. And also starting to become quite aware of the grounding connection, feeling yourself a little bit weightier in your seat. And as you finish off your last breath now, coming into the heart, inhale and exhale for nothing in the heart. Now, as you breathe in, you're going to exhale and send that breath all the way up to the cosmos. So exhaling, follow the cord all the way out the crown, all the way to the highest star, the brightest star. Pausing, drawing that cosmic light all the way down your cord, all the way down into your heart, allowing it to land. And then run the cycle again, sending your love up to the stars, letting you know you're here. And as they exhale, they downpour their love to you, all the way down. Now, a few cycles of that, running your energy and your heart, love light, all the way to the cosmos, and receiving, and giving, and receiving. Until on your final breath, just like a floating feather or leaf, resting now deep in your heart. And just breathe gently here. And now I invite you to draw from the cosmos as above, so below to Gaia. Inhale at the same time, drawing in as above, so below into the heart. Both directions. Fill your lungs as much as you can. Hold the breath now. Hold it. Hold it. This is your still space. No breath, no movement. And slowly exhale through the nose. And do that again. Inhale and exhale as above, so below into the heart. Hold it. Fill the lungs, max capacity in there. Hold it. And this time you're going to send your love light all the way out as you exhale now, 360 degrees to the world, to the cosmos, to all that there is. Now you're going to do the final breath. Inhale and exhale as above, so below. Draw it all the way in. Hold the breath. And then this breath you're sending out to everybody here in the group, like dominoes, our hearts. Tap, 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 and they ignite. And then bringing that energy all the way back into your space now. And you may just rest. And now I call for Ra to bring his protection golden pyramid around each and every one of you. Your own personal golden pyramid now appears, the apex at the top. Suddenly you are completely held by this golden, beautiful golden protective surrounding, full of golden light. And you activate your pyramid of Ra, your pyramid of protection. And then we call for a third further pyramid to go around all of us in this group. So lots of little pyramids in one big pyramid. It gets placed around us now. We are vibrating and we are glistening. We are connected as above, so below, so within, so without. And when you are ready, you may open your eyes. Okay. So now we're a bit more grounded and a bit more together. So this is a little bit of an energy intro to where we're going. So of course, tomorrow is the new moon. Today is Samhain. So it is absolutely high energy on what we're doing here. The veil is very, very thin. So be aware, have awareness that whatever you ask for, we're deep diving today. Not to say that any other god or goddess that I work with isn't, but this particular day is like after the month of October we've had, because I know I've been incredibly sick this month. I'm not the only one. I know that everybody has been through some really, really hectic stuff, and I honor that. And I honor each and every one of you because this stuff is real. So I want to acknowledge that, you know, the warrior and the warrioress in each and every one of you, right? But that's done. Because actually, for those of you that were on the live call, this all happened to me after we did the 1010 portal. So I must be very, very, yeah, I did the 10-10 portal. Remember, close the door behind. Then the next day, I had 4 energy healings, couldn't shift it, 2 sets of antibiotics and steroids. So yes, it's like, I don't do pills, but honey, I was like, bring me a pill. You gotta do what you gotta do. Now that was my version of it, but also as well, it wasn't just the physical, it was the darkness that went with it. The grief, so much grief, very, very third eye, sinus is connected to grief. And there's a lot of purging to do with that grief, but we don't even want to get into that because it's done. But now we arrive here on the temple meet and we're with Thoth. So what is the principles all about? It's really turning up and like digging your gauntlet in the ground, because once you get to this point and you are willing to actually really, really, yes, that crusty old grief. Yes. So yeah, when we're really, really willing to kind of like step into the Hermetic principles, that's your mastery. These laws stood from the test of time. So this is it's very, like what I'm saying is like, pay attention to what we're doing today. Like I said, I could have easily gone off left field and done like Ceridwen or something like that, but it's not, it's Thoth. And we want to start off first of all. Now you can mentally say it or you can actually write it down. So basically, it's a new moon tomorrow. So we've got our altars up and going and everything like that. Let's ride this wave to the fullness, every single inch of it, to sail us through to the month of November, because next month is Sekhmet month. That's a whole nother podcast. But let me tell you, we're getting on fire. Stuff's happening. That's the rising of the Phoenix. So as we coast through and bless the ending of this timeline, use your powerful intention now of what these Hermetic principles, specifically what the Hermetic principles are going to bring for you. Right? It's not just like your general intention of just like, oh, I want to live a better life and all the rest of it. No, this is to do with your mastery. This is to do with you showing up in the world. This is to do with you being full on, full out there. So what is your intention in the responsibility of holding your mastery and being willing and, you know, no filter to now step up and step out? And I'm going to say, take up space. Are you willing to take up space? Like, no more dimming the light. No more going with situations, people, and places that make you feel uncomfortable or you feel that you have to protect yourself from. Move it away. Move it away. So it really is the big line in the sand with this temple meet, which is why writing this class out today, it was a lot. It was a lot. So I'm going to give you a moment to sit with that intention for your new moon tomorrow. And you know what? It might develop a little bit more by tomorrow, but let's anchor into that now. So as we open this portal for this very, very powerful, these powerful lessons, okay? Now, as you know, next year is a massive year, 2025. And I have been calling and calling and calling my starseed team. I call this my starseed team because Thoth he's calling through me. Okay, it's not a bums on seat situation. It's like there is something very specific. Some people would just overlook Egypt, and that's fine because they need to go to places in Peru and all that. It's not for everybody. I get that, but there are a very, very specific stream of consciousness and starseeds that I am meant to meet and I'm meant to work with in Egypt for good reason. And, you know, that's why it's called the Tablets of Light tour, right? It's the Tablets of Light. And then, you know, and that basically ignites your encodement. So there's an agreement that many of you will feel goosebumps for, that you've got to get to Egypt. And it's not just about like, you know, the Marie show. It's like, that's not what it is. It's about other people that will sign up from all over the world that will come and meet there, and you will meet them. And then so it unfolds. So I'm always saying a true offering when it comes to like really pitching up. Every single offering I've given, I've never had the money for, I've never had the time for, being a starseed mum. It's never been right. And you know what? I probably bust myself more than nothing to actually get to those places. And I've been rewarded to no end. And when you go to Egypt and when you go to those temples, you know how I work. We work like that before we go. And trust me, life will change. So there is also a question to ask yourself, are you prepared for that next level of change? Because once Thoth gives it to you, once the temples give it to you, once that remembrance come in, you got to be able to take it to the next level. So that's why I like to have conversations with people. It might be only in 2 years' time, but I'm planting the seed because you know in your souls as to when that timing is. Okay. So I will always plant that seed because I know there's specific star seeds that need to go there with me, you know, because I have a specific soul fam, which is you guys. So that being said, right. So now let's move into this. Who is Thoth? Okay. Who is Thoth? Now, like anything, they have their own principles. Every single god, goddess, or whatever will have their principles, meaning, are they, like Sekhmet will be the goddess of war, the goddess of healing, the goddess of this. It's what I call their CV sheet, right? So for me, Thoth is always very, very powerful in the sacred architecture, right? Because essentially we are the sacred architecture. Your blueprint, your tablet of light, it's you. But sacred architecture, if I say that to you, where does your energy go to? Do you start to feel like, oh, I need to build something, or there's something I'm meant to build with others? Do you get like a stirring inside where I've got something inside of me, but an itch I can't scratch? There's something that needs to come out, but you're not quite sure what. Energy is everything. So it's sacred architecture. We are in construction, okay? We are the builders, right? That is who I work with. Teachers and way showers and all of those are the ones that agreed. A real teacher is just the one that agreed to go first, right? And it's scary, but you know what? We signed up to do it. So what have you come to build? Okay, so that's your sacred architecture. Is it you? Are you the example of that so others can live in your light, not to be follow you? We don't do following, but it's like, are you here to just like activate this, which will probably happen anyway? Or do you have something beyond this that you said you were going to build? Do you have a vision? What's the vision, right? So now Thoth is also a teachers. It's about the teachers. We know that. That's why we all have such a deep connection with him. Teachers and scribes. Right. So many of us channel write. So many of us write books and things like that, or journals or whatever. There's more. There's more. I said this the other day, and I got this message a good couple of years ago. And it was like, when the scrolls have all been found in the caves, where else do we look? In here. I'm always banging on about the Gospel of Marie. It's in you. So there's like something in your DNA that you agreed to express, so this is your tablet of light. And it's really important. What you've got going on is by no means small. And it's not a case of making it overwhelmingly big. It's about agreeing to give your sacred yes. Thoth will take the rest of it. That's all it is. It's just acknowledging that you're here, you're now. Are you going to leave here and go on to another workshop and then another course and then go and do this and go and do that? Or are you actually going to say, right, do you know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And trust me, it is scary. It is daunting because you're doing something different, but it's time. Like your purpose is your purpose. That's what's screaming at you right now. That's what's online now. Your mission is how you choose to express it in the world. And there's a million ways to do that. And there won't be just one mission. There'll be lots. So the next one is alchemy. He's the god of alchemy and magic. Right? So that's the Hecker codes and everything like that, turning thoughts into things. His Metatron's cube symbol, okay, which is that guy there, okay, as we all know, okay, that can, if we spin it, it can activate. It can protect. It's basically got everything in it, isn't it? You know what I mean? And what I love about the Metatron's cube is each and every one of us works with it differently because we've got unique soul design. So we all have a unique relationship with what the Metatron's cube can do. And for me, it's activation. I have one over there. I put my altar on it and it just brings everything online. So if you want to clear your energy field, you can stand and Thoth will just run that Metatron's cube. Imagine it was flat over your head. Essentially, it's a 3D object, but but if you did the circular and you just brought it all the way down like that, it can actually clear your energy field. Or if you stand on it and you want to bring it up, it can activate and bring something to the surface. So in your meditations, work with Thoth, work with the Metatron's cube, because don't ask me to explain symbology. Holy shit. It's like, you know what I mean? It's really like, I'm a human and it's like, I kind of know it, but I go, Muh. But it's like when you go into meditation, do you not understand it? You do, right? If you just let it flow, you feel that Metatron's cube coming through you and you get a download. So bypass this and feel in your meditations what the Metatron's cube's got for you, okay? So look, Thoth is also the god of Akashic records and all of the things, but I'm just going to run with those four there just to keep it kind of like together. So now we're going to go meet Thoth. All right. I know lots of us have met him before, but we're just going to bring him into the circle now. We're going to bring him into officially welcoming him into the space, or maybe he's welcoming us into his space, and we're going to journey to the Sphinx. So Everybody knows the Sphinx. Everybody knows that it's in Egypt. Everybody knows that the entry to the halls of Amenti, or the Kashyyyks, it actually depends. You can go up or you can go down. It depends on you, really. You know, everybody's different. Stargates or underworld, it's all the same. So basically, the Sphinx is your entry point. It's your connection point to the eighth dimension and beyond. And many of us have so much wisdom and technology about the Sphinx. And also, the Sphinx is a time capsule, and it was built quite oddly, because we know that it didn't look the way it did. It's not how it truly was. It's like it was totally different when they first built it. But the Sphinx was a bit odd, and it always has that pull because everybody goes there because it's a time capsule. So there's something in there for everybody. So really, really understand that if you need to know something, go and speak to Thoth, go to the Sphinx, and just sit there, and you will be surprised as to the wisdom that comes out of that time capsule for you. Okay, so we're going to go in there and we're going to we're going to go and see what your future self, because your future self is the one that's holding the tablets. And as I talk to you now, I see just a beautiful golden emerald tablet of light with emerald, but golden symbols, and you're just holding it, and it's just like, yeah, so it's my tablet. Whereas we're like, what's the tablet? It's like, you know what I mean? We want to ditch that, because that one is going, yeah, it's my tablet. I know how to work with this. Do you know what I mean? That's who we want to speak to. And actually, they're in you. So we want to start having conversations with them a hell of a lot more, because that's the ancient and future you, right? Don't usually do past and future because I like present. But you know what I'm saying? Pulling from those parts of self that knows. And just to check, like, I just need to speak about Merlin, because Merlin has been coming in a lot, because Merlin and Thoth for me are very much the same. Okay. And I wouldn't say they're one of the same being, but they, you know, like Mother Mary is the same as Isis, and Ceridwen is the same as Sekhmet. It's that vibe, right? And Merlin, I brought a channel through of him the other day, and I'll actually post it on YouTube because it was actually really kind of cool. He was basically saying, he took me up onto the tour, and I was in ancient time, and I was all my maiden self, and I had my little booties on, and I was like this really powerful, like, you know, I was like calling in my dragon, and he was like, stop. And I was like, oh, why? Why? And he said, stop. He said, you know, this magic you will, because I had a magic bow. I had all these funky things. I was like, look at my magic. And he says, why do you think that's separate yourself? He says, that sword you were waving around, that magic bow, all of these things, these magic balls you had. He said, where do you think they came from? And I was like, I don't know. And he said, like, well, you made them from your alchemy inside. You created them just like the sword in the stone. What's it called again? Excalibur. Just like Excalibur. Lady of the Lake created Excalibur, you know, and the priestesses. He said, those tools, you wielded from your own magic. So I was like, okay. And he's like, rewind. And then he showed me in my hoodie and my Ugg boots on the top of the tour. And he said, and he brought the consciousness out of my eyes, and he's like, same person. Same person. And then he's like, right, go to the mirror now, go and stare into your eyes now, look into your eyes, stand there for at least 5 minutes and connect that you are still in there. You were the one that made the magic bow. She's still in there. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, so I believe sometimes simplicity can really help us click in, so we can believe ourselves because it's there. Do you know what I mean? It's there. So that was, yeah. So Merlin came in very strong. So we're going to get ourselves comfortable, and we're going to go and like connect with, thank you for the heart. We're going to connect with, well, maybe Merlin. We're going to connect with Thoth now, and we're going to just connect with ourselves and our aspects. So get yourself comfortable in what it is that you want to do. Sit, lie, whatever you need to do. And we're still in a kind of relaxed state. So taking a nice big deep breath just to bring yourself back into the meditative space again. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And just do some nice long, slow, deep breaths and come back into that heart space. So as you allow your breath to roll in and out, closing off the back of the throat once more to bring the sound of your breath into the space. So you may take your focus to the breath. And with each breath now, as you inhale, you can exhale. And just feel yourself coming deeply into self. And I want you to gently float now as you use your breath to shift your energy, shift your focus deeply within. And that breath is now sending you to your inner cosmos. So each breath you take in, as you exhale, you just feel yourself fall deeply within. So connected to this place, the stars, the planets. This is your own inner multiverse. And allow the physical body to just fall away a little. Allow the physical connection to just dissipate. And imagine yourself to be that of the stars. Imagine yourself to be of the ethers. For after all, you are frequency. You are not separate of anything, for everything is vibration. And as you breathe now, inhaling and exhaling, you're preparing for travel, and there is a sudden whoosh of energy, and you feel yourself being drawn off to another timeline. Almost down like a little chute, like a multi-dimensional chute, but you've done this millions of times. Allow yourself to be taken now. And as your journey starts to gather speed now, flying through the tunnel like a speed of light, you're suddenly transported, a big flash of light, and here you stand. And you are standing before the Sphinx, between the paws of the Sphinx. And it has a much whiter limestone glisten to it. You are definitely on Gaia. You have just gone back to a timeline where everything was so true. As you look up at the Sphinx, it does not have the human head. It has a majestic lion head. And there is a sense and peace in your being, for this is truth. This is truth. You're very much stood on the Giza Plateau, but it is not modern day Giza Plateau. It's how you remember it. So take a moment to wiggle your toes into the warmth and the coolness of the sand beneath your feet. Take a moment to allow your energy field to connect with this place that you know oh so well. And as you look to the chest of the Sphinx, there is a beautiful white placard, like a tablet, and it is purest white, like alabaster. You walk towards it, and there is encodements etched across it. And they are not of that of the hieroglyphs. They are not of that of Atlantean. It is a language that you know, perhaps many starseeds have known, but you know it. And this is why this place feels so true to you, because it's not what you know in this timeline. And as you run your fingers across the tablets, there is an entry that is granted to you. And because you have been here timelines before, you know this place. You are an adept, you're an initiate. And a true mystery school was only accessed by those who had a certain level of enlightenment. And where you are going, dear heart, you are moving into the halls of Amenti now. So this beautiful tablet now disappears into ether. And suddenly you are walking into a different dimension. It is so light and bright, very different to the halls of Amenti that you've known before, which is very underworld, very dark, but not dark in the sense of negative, dark in the sense of mysterious, lots of things to unlock and unpack. The mysteries. This place is light. You find yourself walking along glass corridors. Lots of literal libraries everywhere, for you're in the halls of learning. And as you look up above you, there are floors upon floors. It looks rather educational here, but at the same time, very otherworldly. And there are many other starseeds there as well. It's a little bit like being at university, but there's an energy in your being, but you also feel a little nervous, for you know that you can't mess around here because this is the Ascended Masters. And there is something in your being. You look down at your heart, and your heart is aglow with golden energy. It is almost as if it's come online. Someone has summoned you, and you pretty much know who summoned you, because you're walking straight to the top door at the corridor, and that is the Temple of Thoth. So continue to walk, dear heart, breathing in And breathing out. Following your footsteps. Being very present. Being very present. The door opens for you. And there you are greeted by Thoth. He is wearing very different clothing, like beautiful silken linens with gold, broidery. His hair is white. His eyes are electric blue. But he also holds that teacher, higher up kind of thing. So you're deeply, deeply honored to be in his space. So you bow your head straight away because you try not to look him in the eye because you just want to show the maximum respect. He waves you forward. He does not soften any, for he's a little no-nonsense. He speaks to you now, walking around you. Your eyes are lowered, his hands behind his back, walking like a headmaster around you. And it is silent and your heart is racing because you feel, what is going on here? Dear initiate, I have called you to my school of learning, my mystery school, the halls of Amenti. You have traveled many lifetimes, many timelines. There is much that you have overcome, and for good reason. For I granted you the tablet of light all of those many moons ago. When the world fell from grace, I called for your being. I called for many of your beings to come and join me in the halls of Amenti, for it was going to be a long journey to take on the darkness, to bring forth the light. And of this you said, yes. And it is a much delight and joy in my being that we meet once again here in the halls of Amenti, for this is here to be celebrated. I am acknowledging you for how far you have come. Memory, recall is now flooding back to you, dear heart, which tells me it is time. And that is why you are here, because it is indeed time. I felt your heart. I felt your heart strongly. I heard your calls of despair, but you did sign up. You knew what you were entering into, and you are very powerful. This was something that we knew you could endure and master. For that is what you are, dear heart, a master. And you are on the precipice of the sleep being wiped from one's eyes. You are on the precipice of the old, calcified brain memory blockers. They are being removed as you astral travel at night. This is what's happening. You are still working extensively in your sleep state. So here you arrive with me, which is very much something to be celebrated. He picks up now a big tablet, and it is gleaming gold. And as he holds it, you think he's going to give it to you, but he just shines it at you. And then suddenly there is an almighty rush and burst of emerald green light that bursts out your heart center, comes out your eyes, comes out your ears. You open your mouth like, what is going on? The light bursts out of your mouth. And he just walks around you holding this tablet of light. It's like the tablet is activating your very own tablet within you in its fullness. He said, dear heart, the tablet is not a literal thing. It is an encodement. And what you're experiencing right now is full activation of your mastery mind, full activation and permission to now share what you have guarded in your tablet of light for timelines. You promised that you would do so. Now it is so. Now is the time. And he keeps walking around you. Behind you, you feel things pop in your muscles and in your back, and there's just light bursting out of you. And then in the end, you think, do you know what? Oh, just let it happen. Just let it happen. It's what you come here for. Just let it happen. And then as you breathe, there is a wave of just peace that comes over you. It's like all of a sudden you're allowed to just let go of the fight. You can't become a little emotional because the human side of you holds this. You can let it out because it's the human that carries everything. But you love your human. Your human aspects is what you also came to master. Much love, much love, much love. Very quickly, you actually restabilize, quite to your surprise. This tells you that you are more in your light body being in incarnate than you've ever been. And he stands before you now. You didn't cry. You didn't melt down. Why? Because you're now allowing your mastery to come forth. Here you are, just expanding golden green energy. And he looks you deep in the eye and he says, dear heart, it is done. It is done. So he shows you through his own reflection, meaning he, Thoth, stands before you. He shows you the mirror of you, and something now incredible happens. As you stand there, he becomes a mirror. And as you look at him, suddenly he mirrors you. You kind of like blink your eyes, and then he's Thoth again. But then it's you. You see your cheeks in his face. You see your chin. You see your hair. And then he morphs back to Thoth again. And then he is you once more. And he steps in, or you step in. And there's an absolute rush of energy. Oh, I felt that. An absolute surge and rush of energy as he steps in, for this is the aspect embodied. This is the aspect embodied. And you just raise your arms up and you stretch, almost like, yep, that was meant to happen. Thank you very much. You are owning it. You are owning it. And the message is, he speaks in your ears. Nothing is separate. Nothing is separate. Nothing is separate. Everything is one. Everything. So you breathe in and you take a moment. And you just allow the old to fall away and everything to restabilize. For who you just walked in as is not who you're walking out as. Now, before you leave this room, there is a message or an intention. Something that you either have to promise, something that you intend, something needs to be done here. Spoken, written, I don't know. That's between you and your higher self. And whatever it is will carry you forward in the coming year. What is the message? You could be being directed to do something. Maybe something more immediate tomorrow on the new moon. It may be something bigger. It may be just a promise, an affirmation. Let it come. Let it come. It is now time to leave. You turn on your feet. You give deepest blessings and gratitude to the halls of Amenti and Thoth, for you're now one. And as you walk out from his place, from his temple, you walk out in the halls, which are so busy, suddenly everybody stops and they bow their head. They bow their head in honor and respect for how much work you have done. You honored the initial promise. You came when you were called. You endured lifetimes upon lifetimes to protect the encodements, to bring them through. And then you agreed that you would transform. And that is mastery. And that is why the whole of the halls of Amenti have stopped and down tools and are honoring you in your proud walk leaving this place. You are a master. You are a high initiate. Yet you are human. But that's the beautiful divine union. And you are here to live your life, to enjoy it, so you can enjoy. That is the mission. So as you leave this place now, actually don't leave the place. That's what's feeling. It's like more expand from this place into your physical being now. Don't leave it. Come out of the depths of that dimension within you, actually, and breathe in to the dimension that you're in now, leaving nothing behind. Nothing. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes. How's everybody doing? Whew. Masters. Got a bit rah-rah there. But that's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. We have arrived. And I'm not just sharing this because it's what everybody's talking about, because everybody's so sick of dying. I'm not saying that because otherwise I don't bring it through. But it's like, I am like, so when I got really, really sick, I thought I was going to have to go to hospital. And I just sat on the edge of my bed and I said, do you know what? I actually said to Sekhmet, this is the last war that I fight. It's the last war I fight for humanity, because now I have to cross over to the new timeline. And that has to run that deep, has to be an agreement, Like, and that's what that I can only bring through these channels when you're ready, when we are ready. Otherwise it doesn't come through. So from this moment on, as of tomorrow, new moon tomorrow, and you go new. So for every single one of us, as of tomorrow, it is we can officially call it the brand new timeline lands. How about that? You know what I mean? How about that? That's what we're doing. No compromise. You've earned it. You have earned it, right? So now we're going to move into the principles. Now, these principles, as you know, are very, very deep. And there's the Kabbalion. I mean, the books that obviously connect with this is the Kabbalion. If you read a lot of Thoth and the Thoth the Atlantean, the Emerald Tablets of Light. If you listen to that on audio, play it in your car all day, every day, over and over and over again. Go back and read the book. Tell me how you get on. It'll be like reading a Disney novel. You know what I mean? So put it on. Put it on when you go to sleep. Just keep playing it and playing it, playing it. Every single time I take a group to Egypt and I go back and I read the book, I've unlocked something from the year before because I've been listening to the audio. And he said, I think somebody said on the back of the book, listen to it 100 times and the master will, I don't know, unlock something or something like that. But it's true. It's true. So you don't have to get your brain involved. Just have it playing all the time. And you will unlock a lot of your unique wisdom that Thoth has agreed with you. Okay, that's really, really important, and it helped my journey exponentially, right? So now the first principle, which is the most important one, because if you do not master this principle, you cannot master anything, period, right? And it's the principle of mentalism, right? It's a master key. And this is what I was saying. One cannot jump ahead of these principles or pick what you want, because it just will not be allowed, right? So the master key of mentalism, okay, I'm going to quote here. He who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery. And that was the Hermetic master that said that. So, that it's like, we can go deep, deep, deep into the wisdom teachings of this, but I like to keep it Gospel of Marie everyday stuff, so it's more tangible and we can go and live by it tomorrow, right? So as you know, with the Heka codes that I teach, it's about seeing it. So we've got Sia, Hu, and Heka. Sia is the god of vision. Hu is the god that breathes the idea into being, okay? And Heka is the physical manifestation. It's the magic and medicine. So, the vision has to come first. It's where everything starts. If you've got a shitty vision, you're gonna have a shitty manifestation. Do you know what I mean? If you're not thinking big enough, guess what? Lessons are gonna come to say, hey, notch it up a little. Do you know what I mean? So everything here is basically where everything is bred from. And we spend so much when people say, oh, we don't want to be in the mind. Well, we kind of need the mind. We do, but it needs to be secondary to the heart. That's all. You know what I mean? It's like the two, we've just got like a bit mixed up. So we can't lead with the head and secondary with the heart. We have to lead with the heart and then secondary with the head, with the mind, right? So first comes the vision. So what you perceive comes from your beliefs. So it breaks down like this. Think about it. So your mind has a thought, right? Which essentially comes from a belief system, right? Oh, well, I can't go there because that's going to happen. Or maybe you've told yourself that Brussels sprouts brings you out in hives. Maybe they don't. It's just what your mum told you. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's like what you believe. Your mind is constantly measuring, looking at things, teeing things up, right? So this is where we start. So the mind will bring a thought and a belief system. You cannot feel emotion unless you've thought something. So if I said to every single one of you now, right, get angry. Go on, get in. We've all got it, right? Get into that anger or get into that disillusionment. Go on now. You're going to go, can't do it. Do you know what I mean? Why? Because something's got to really piss you off. You have to experience a story to be able to bring you a feeling to be able to get into it, right? So that's the story, is the belief system. Oh, she's just said that, and she said it because of X, Y, and Z, and then you get stuck into it. So the mind the thought and the belief system will stimulate what you feel, right? The feeling is what you will manifest in your life. So here you are, basically thinking, well, I got no money, got no abundance. There's no way. Yeah, it's just not going to happen for me, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So that feeling makes you just feel, you know what I mean? Dunzos. And then that is basically, but I'm going to sit in front of my altar and I'm going to manifest. No, you've got a dirty cauldron. You can't. So rather just walk away and not do anything and then be upset when you've manifested something because it came from the belief system. So we have to go back to the mentalism. You got to understand that you are worthy. You have to like really kind of like be very, very disciplined and going, right, like, excuse my French because I swear like a sailor. But my husband said to me the other day, I was talking to him and I was like, yes, and this, and we need to understand this. And he says, oh, you could just tell it to fuck off the thought. He says, that's what I do. And he's the most strongest, like he just doesn't entertain things like that. And I was like, well, actually, there's also that. Just don't entertain it. But some things have a root system. So I do understand. But you have to be vigilant. Are you going to let anybody just walk into your house and kick their shoes off and sit on your sofa? No. So why would you do that with thoughts? Because it's really screwing up your life. So you have to become away from like, oh, I'm not a master, I'm not in control of this. No, you are. That's where this has got to come in. You're like, right, okay, this is what we're doing. No, we're not thinking like this. So changing your perspective, like basically, like let's talk about the mind. How many times have we looked at something, right? This is another thing that hinders your healing. How many times have we looked at something and you're like, oh yeah, that healing that I'm stuck on is to do with X, Y, and Z. And then all of a sudden you find it's not that. And you're like, oh shit, it wasn't to do with fear. Oh my God, it was actually to do with doubt. So you're trying to heal a broken elbow with an ankle strap. So you can't understand why it's not going anyway. Why can't I get to the bottom of this healing? Because your perception is wrong. You're not understanding where it's really coming from because there's a belief system behind it, which you need to unlock. So sometimes when we have things that hang around way too much for way too long, sometimes, yes, they do have a root system because we have to go through the spiral. I get that, right? I do believe that there is a shadow soul purpose that we need to work through. But also as well, I have experienced time and time again, when I get that bloom pop moment, I've gone, oh my God, I didn't actually think that was the issue. It actually was coming from here. Then it disappears. So it's a case of misunderstanding, misidentity. You know what I mean? So this is where perception plays out all the time. So now, what you also need to understand as well, and this is like coming from the higher teachings of the principle of mentalism, it's the all mind. Now, the all mind is source. So we know that Mother, Father, God, we were created by them. We are their manifestation, right? So, and I'm going to share my experience. So I was on a mushroom journey in my garden. And I was lying there and it was a beautiful day. And I was like, oh my God, the trees are so nice. I was like, such a beautiful day, so much beauty. I was just like overwhelmed with how beautiful it all was. And I was lying on my mattress going, wow, just beauty. And then I realized, well, hang on a minute, I'm part of this picture. Oh, I'm in that beauty picture. Well, hang on a minute. Maybe I'm quite beautiful. Maybe I'm quite nice. And then all of a sudden, I actually got shown by mushrooms how separate I make myself. Oh, I'm not part of this picture. Oh, no, you're lovely. I'm not part of that. Here I am lying in my trees at the bottom of my oak tree. And I'm going, this is just so beautiful. Look at this. And I'm in that picture. And that's when it got shown. So if we are part of Mother, Father, God's manifestations, they don't have negative belief systems. They don't usually get things wrong. They can create worlds and things like that in humanity. Like they created us and they went, you know what? I'm going to create something so magical, amazing. Boom. Here we are in there. And you know what I mean? So we are part of their principle of mentalism, right? So that's like more higher teachings, right? But you get the idea. So the principle of mentalism can basically be, I mean, we can go really, really deep with this, but this was just to give you a dab in. Maybe we get through the principles today and I kind of do a second layer into it. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a better thing. But just to give you an idea on how to kind of like change. Now it's all well and good talking about, yeah, this, that, and the other. How do we change it? How do we change gear when you're in the middle of something really shit, right? Most powerful thing that I work with, ask yourself, okay, I'm going to give you an everyday example. Oh God, I got to go meet that person today for coffee. I don't want to go and do that. Or, oh my God, I got to go and face that. Or there's any kind of dread. Stop, What's the story you're telling yourself? What story am I telling myself there? You'll be surprised what comes up. Oh, that I'm not safe. That, you know what I mean? You'll be surprised what comes up because it's a story. So if there's anything negative, it means it's not true. But you have to have a certain level of awareness to be able to stop the momentum before it explodes into a whole thing. So that for me is gold. Okay. What story are you telling yourself? Stops it in the tracks and gets you to go inward. And then you start to look at it and go, well, I'm actually fine. You know what I mean? And you know what? Maybe if you are unsafe with that person, maybe a further action is just like, well, why put yourself through it? Just say no. You know what I mean? Or look at it and go, well, there isn't any reason I should be scared. So I need to look at my inner child. So, you know, you have to be discerning as to what action needs to be taken there. But that is going to stop it in its tracks and bring your mind into check, right? Because remember, your mind is like an in tray. It's going to be like a printer. The paper you feed it is exactly what it's going to print on, right? So you have to be really, really the bouncer at your own door going, hang on a minute. What story am I telling myself? Is it a good one? Is it a good one? I call myself on my bullshit. I got so many stories. I'm like, honestly, for days, like these books here, they're all stories. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, leave me alone with myself for long enough. I will come up with about 50 problems, right? So you can't leave me unattended for too long. But you see what I'm saying? How the mind can run wild, right? So now when we want to actually manifest and we want to do things like this, do you know what I mean? It's just like, it's blocking all that white noise out and coming into this space. So just, I'm going to give you like tips and homework to do to dive into this principle. I'm not going to go into it any deeper because like I say, we can go deep, but let me rather give you that. And I'm going to give you the stuff that's going to help you with this. So big one, what story you're telling yourself, be the bouncer of your own situation, right? Start to go back and visit. I know no one's not listened to this. Go back to practicing the power of now. Not the power of now, practicing the power of now. Now, we've hit those books so much in our lifetimes, right? We've read it back to front. Everybody did. I haven't listened to it for so long, and I'm a lot more of a master now. And I went back and listened to practicing the power of now, and it just went bing, 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 bing. And it landed everything that I used to struggle with. And it's been good few years since I've listened to that. So particularly practicing the power of now, because that's only a 2-hour audio. Have it on and it will help you keep on track. Okay. Because essentially the reason I've chucked that in there is the only way through this is presence. Coming in here, disengaging from everybody's drama and everything like that, maintaining it here. It's the answer. You'll be quite surprised when you go back to that old teachings of Eckhart that you'll go, oh shit, okay, everything I've known since then, when I first started on my journey, now I learned so much. Oh God, yeah, it's going to help you ever such a lot. And then the other thing is another very, very, very good book, which is going to help you decide for your mind, The Greatest Secret. Okay. That blew my doors off. I blew that book up in 2 days. I got it. I sat on my sofa and I read it and I was just like, wow. Now you can get it on audio as well, but it's by Rhonda Byrne. I do encourage you not to go and do The Secret, well, even though everybody did it, because that's not real true manifestation, to be honest. But The Greatest Secret of Rhonda Byrne talks about the mind, not manifestation. Talks about the mind. And it's not a big book, but that and Eckhart is going to just land you in. After I read that book, I released a video series on how to lose your mind. I mean, what a cool title, right? But that's essentially what you're doing. How to lose your mind. You know what I mean? But you're going to you just take that in and it's going to help you because nobody's beginners here. Okay. You've done this work for a long time. Okay. So now just go back to these things that you used to use just to help you cement it. Okay. And then you're going to go, oh yeah, okay, I get that. All right. So that's the principle of mentalism. So number 2, we have the principle of correspondence. So the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as below, so above. So we all know that one because it's like super, super famous for Thoth, isn't it? Like it's like classic, you know, and we all understand that as, you know, so within, so without, you know, whatever you're vibrating on from, you create your inner reality from what you've got going on inside of you, which as you go through the principles, you can see how one leads into the other. So we're on the second principle talking about correspondence. But if you haven't nailed the principle of mentalism, you see how you can't do correspondence? Because you have to be able to clean up your inner reality. So you see, your inner reality comes from negative belief systems if it's not so great. So you have to go back to you have to be tapping into the principle of mentalism. They all lead into each other. So physical, mental, and spiritual planes work in harmony. So basically, as above, so below, so within, so without, okay? All of these planes of consciousness, body, mind, and spirit, whatever way you understand it, whatever way you want to look at it, right? Body, mind, spirit, basically have to be in balance. We go back to the up principles now because she's all about order, balance, and all of that kind of stuff. So if we do not have that, which is presence, basically, but if we do not have an angle on that, right, we are not vibrating in harmony. Now, harmony is the natural vibration of the universe. We have to be the best jigsaw piece puzzle ever to be able to fit in with that and match it. Okay. So once we are a vibrational match, it's like literally gold coin time, right? So instead of like sometimes over focusing on that thing you want to do, what true manifestation is actually making sure with your self-care through the principles that you are in harmony with the universe, which is, you know, like that balance, right? So this is what these principles are all about. This is what we were given because Thoth, when he called us, just like what he said in the channel, when he called us out of retirement from the starseeds, he said, listen, we're in trouble, man. Atlantis has gone tits up. We've been taken out. I need my OGs. I do believe that we got called. And I stupidly said yes, because I was like, had I known, God, I should have just stayed on my star and just carried on drinking pina coladas. Anyway, for some reason, I came back, as we all did. But I believe that. I truly, truly believe that in my heart of hearts, that we're the masters. And it's not an ego thing. We just agreed to be the front line, which is why our journeys are so hard. But you're going to find other people who do, like, I don't know, different kinds of work. So when you think about building a house, you get the architect, then you get the builder. Okay. We need a plumber. We need an electrician. We need a roofer. None of us can complete without everybody putting in their 2 cents. But we were the ones that said we'll come and lay the ground of the pyramid, which was the hardest thing, right? We're the one who had to go and clear all the trees out the way, make the ground flat. That's like hard work. That's who we are. That's the tablet of lighters. We're setting the foundation now. So up until now, it's been a very, very big mission to accept and believe. I believe that's why we're so overwhelmed as starseeds, because we could not accept that we're actually that powerful to be able to do that. It's a big undertaking, and not to say that anybody's other job isn't, but like different beings are doing different jobs, right? And we were called out to be the front line. No one else was going to show us. We were the ones that were always going to go first. So which is why we're like looking around going, is anybody going? No, we are, right? So anyway, I digress. But basically, the principles are going to be live, eat, sleep, and breathe them through you in this way that you can understand and embody, you know? And that's kind of what I do. I bring it through the Marie filter, swear a lot, laugh a lot, and somewhere I kind of figure it out. Do you know what I mean? Because some of this stuff can be like really, really like, well, first of all, quite boring to read, and second of all, really quite hard to understand. So we are ancient wisdom for modern day living. So however you take these wisdoms, who are you going to explain it to next? Oh, this is the toolbox we were given. We didn't just get sent out there like naked and afraid, off you go. Do you know what I mean? It's like they gave us like these principles, the Seven Hermetic Principles, and it's high time now that we start living by it. And I think you'll be surprised when we get through it that you've been living by them quite a lot. So now who you are inside creates your reality out there. So this is a taking responsibility thing. You got to go to those dark parts of self. You got to go and sit with your inner child. You got to go to that presence. In fact, just do the presence things, the mentalism, correspondence, all that kind of stuff. Mentalism will lead you into correspondence. And it's like really finding that quiet space, because everything was created from source using the same laws. So basically what you're doing in your plight as a tablet of lighter, you're taking everything back to its origin source codes. That's why it's so hard. You're not just basically building a house, you're actually restoring it, stripping back all of the old new, all of the old wallpaper, everything. You're taking it right back to its bare bones. So we have to be. So Egypt is very, very powerful. Yes, we go back to the temples. Yes, we go back, and it ignites a lot of memory. But you have to remember the temples are built on portals. So is it the actual temple itself that's bringing the energy through, or is it the portal that it's built on? Because at the end of the day, what we must understand, and this is what I teach all the time when I'm in Egypt, we got to draw the codes from the origin. Because the problem is it's gone through the human filter way too much, and it's like Chinese whisper or broken telephone, and then somebody's opinions got laced in it, much like the Bible, and we've got kind of got lost. That was the old timeline. Let it go. What do we do? What do we have access to, which can actually bring truth and authenticity, is by each and every one of us going back to our original, our origin source codes of who we understand Thoth to be up there. And then how he expressed himself through Atlantis, and then forward and forward. Even going back to Atlantis is a little bit risky because that was where the downfall was, but it's where we've been doing a lot of clearing up, But we have a lot of memory on what it was like to be able to uphold as twin flames, the 5D frequency. So it's a positive thing. But now let's go back even further. Okay. And we take those beings from the stars as a we, and we bring down a brand new, oh, hang on. We bring down a brand new, well, not brand new, it's ancient, an untethered, uninterrupted frequency right from the beginning. Because remember, that's what New Earth is. It comes through you, right? So I think that, like, you know, it's great to go back to the ancient texts. And I'm just going to say this because when I was sick, I was reading the books on the Aeneid, which is the 9, Council of 9, which are basically all the gods and goddesses. Let me tell you, the earthly timeline with Set and Horus was horrific. It was like P. Diddy all over again. It's some really, really heavy stuff in there. Honestly, it's defiling and all this kind of stuff. What Set did to his nephew and, you know, defiling his mother, you know, it was all of it, rape, everything. And it's just like, we're not recreating that wheel, but we want to go back to where did Isis come from? When they originally, when Atlantis, or rather when they were born, like we had Ra, we had Tefnut, we had Shu, and they were the atmosphere and the water. Like before it got to earthly incarnation, which was Isis, Set, Osiris, okay, and Nephthys, that's when the wars started happening and some really heavy shit went down. So I always get a little bit confused why so many of us want to go back to that timeline of Egypt, because that's where the earthly downfall happened. And Sekhmet showed me that in no uncertain terms, which really drives home the origin source codes thing. Because when I went there, last year with my daughter, some really heavy stuff came up, sexual abuse. It was like, and I didn't anticipate that I was going to be clearing that. And it was really heavy, big work. And, but we did it. And I don't want to go back to clearing up. Why should I go back to dumpsters to clear up rubbish? Do you know what I mean? Because it's just going to be more rubbish. So we have to have a very, very a strong understanding and willingness to go back to our origin source codes, our original template. That sit with that tablet that's just come online. Sit with that tablet, aka you, aka Thoth, aka Star Being. You have it all inside of you. So tap into your highest expression rather than going to the temples, because it will get a little bit tainted, right? So let's bring that forward. So that's basically the correspondence is you are an absolute reflection of your outer world and vice versa, but your mind will build that for you. So you see how we go back to the principle of mentalism. So it's your responsibility to say what comes in and what doesn't. That's mastery. And you know what? We fall off our perch a million times. You cannot be a master unless you failed a million times. So let's just chuck that in the bin because, I failed. Well, fucking right. You need to fail. Otherwise you can't be a master. Do you know what I mean? You have to practice again and again. I'm the worst for that. I failed at this. And it's like Eckhart Tolle was saying, failure leads into success and success will always lead into failure. Oh, well, that leads us into another principle just now. But I was like, yes, it does. Because like in the failure is where that's actually a death. We have to understand that we've got to live by the resurrection rites, the death, rebirth, and resurrection. So in a way, when we go through that failure or perceived failure, that's actually and then we rise again. And I'm alive and I'm dead. I'm alive, I'm dead. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, so again, we go back to the belief system of the mind. What story are you telling yourself? Have you failed? Or maybe we need to relabel failure as an opportunity to get to the next level now. It's an opportunity for expansion. Rather than just saying winning, you know what I mean? Because when you win, what's the first thing you're going to do again? Try something else. So is it actually winning that you want to get to? No, it's the feeling. It's the feeling of harmony. You know, those days you get up and you're like, everything is great today. I really am just happy. And it's just like, everything's in flow. There's no fear in my life. Everything's taken care of. And everything just feels like that, right? In those moments and those days you have, lock it in. Lock it in. That's true manifestation. That's harmony, vibration match. When you've let go of everything and you're like, wow, it's fine. It'll all sort itself out. Everything's good. That's when things happen. But it's when we're in that state of just like, oh, but I've got to focus on that. And that's where people get stuck with manifestation. They focus on the car. They focus on the money. They focus on that thing. So already you've stepped out of your presence and you've now connected with time. And time will always tell you that you're going to fail. Because let's face it, like, you know what I mean? That's what time does, you know, and if there was no time, because everything's like, oh, got to get it done. If there's no time, how can you be late for anything? You know? And I've been given the most powerful lessons of this. Running these tours has basically broken me to the point, and I speak about it often because it was like a mission I tried to get out of so many times, but it was my biggest teacher because got a deadline by this time, got a deadline by that time. Oh my God, TikTok, you know what I mean? And the pressure from the human side. And now I'm like, whatever. Like if I go with one person, I go with one person. The bus is always going. Do you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden I'm enjoying my life because I've unplugged from time. So be very aware of that. If you're thinking about time, come back into presence, right? The way you know you've surrendered is by being intensely present. Keep coming back into presence. And when you've fallen out of presence and you've got, oh shit, I'm not being present, you're being present about being present. So do you know what I mean? It's just like constantly having a back and forth with your mind, which is a bit of a ping pong game, but you know what? It's a process, right? So that's your correspondence. I mean, like, you know, the above is the all mind, okay? The without, okay, is your reality that you've created, okay? So that's the outside of you. And within is your inner reality. So as above, you know, so below, so without, so within, you know? So all of these things are at play all the time. So the laws, the principles are always running, and they're running over each other. What I love about the Hermetic principles, now I've really started to embody them myself and apply them. My life has changed because I'm focusing on my day of like, of what principles at play, rather than the thing that is playing out that I'm giving my attention to. I'm like, oh, that's a principle of mentalism. So remember your focus, shifting your focus, you know? So when you start to focus on the principles, it will actually really, really help you. Okay. So now, a little bit of a task here. So your question, right? So when you are, let me just see here. Okay, so when you are needing to go into presence, right? Because all of these principles, that's your focus. That's what we're here for, isn't it? To live presently, right? So when you find you're tweaking out, let's say, and it's like, you know, your principle of mentalism, you're not thinking that great today. Your as above, so below is a bit off because of that. And it's all feeling a little bit out. The best way to bring yourself into the space is to ask yourself questions. I find that really powerful because I used to go and read books and try and meditate and everything like that. But there's some great oracle cards. The Mary Magdalene one, Megan Watterson or whatever her name is. She has questions at the end of each card, which really makes me go, oh, it jolts me into presence. So I find this question asking quite a powerful task because let's face it, we got to love our human. You're going to have days when you're human. That's why we're here. If there's no shadow, how can we be masters with the principles? Got stuff all to work with, right? So start to look at it differently. So ask your question. So when you're going through a funky time, say, hey, are you okay, inner child? You got something going on there? Ask your inner child, you all right? And just have a quiet moment and see what they say, right? Or you could ask them, do you feel safe enough to go inside? Because I'm going to get into that in a second. And if you don't feel safe inside, guess what? I'm so glad you're loving this. I'm kind of on a roll. I'm into this, man. So like I told you, we're going to live in a commune and we're going to do this all day. so like the last one is when, like I was saying about when you're doing all the time, like you've got to ask yourself, you know, when you get into that frenzy. Now I've decided, well, I'm ADHD. Who would have thought? But like everybody else I know who's a channel, they're all like, well, if you just figure that out, everyone's on the spectrum, darling. And I'm like, well, I suppose we are really. So I go into this frenetic and we're all channels, right? And we all feel energy. I can go from creative to crackhead in 0.5 seconds. Like, honestly, I can go for like, this is just amazing. And then I get closer to my computer and then that is it, man. I can feel the crackhead kick in and I can't go away. And it's just like, and I've just lost it. And I'm literally like, whoa, I'm like losing it. And I find it really hard to disengage. But now I've been learning, because I've been working with someone to help me crack that code. Questions are really good to help me disengage. Like, you need to step away now. What do I need to do? Presence. Go walk dogs. Okay, I'm going to go and do that. Do you know what I mean? Oh, click out of that. Do you know what I mean? So you can break away from the intensity to ask yourself the questions to get back to presence. Okay. So yes, Becky, that's like, yeah, like it's literally like I feel like the month of October has got so intense that I felt like I've been in psychosis more than I have anything else, because it's like the fight. It's almost like this critical balloon pop moment. We like squeeze like a tube of toothpaste, us way showers, as teachers, because we were meant to. We've had it more intense than other people, I think, because we're the ones that are going forward. So, of course, that intensity has come to the top where you're like, oh, my God. But just before it pops is the darkest night before dawn, right? So this is basically what's happening. And I did a channel with Mary Magdalene. Again, I'll share it on YouTube. And she spoke about the last revisit from your demons. They're going to come in like, whoa, do you know what I mean? Which is the mind, right? The mind's going to come in and go, hey, here I am again. And you go, oh, shit, here we go again. And then as quick as they came, they're gone. That's where we're at right now, the big expansion, and then it's gone. Right. And I had that with ayahuasca. I was working on ayahuasca and I thought I had loads of demons, and it wasn't. All these things coming at me. I found out after I did my integration she was showing me my mind. She said in the ayahuasca, it said, I'm the demon you'll never get rid of. And I didn't realize that was her showing me my mind. So the mind can be the absolute gift of you living in balance, or it can be your absolute prison. So we just need to understand and know that it can serve two things, right? And we want it to serve, because it's serving you in every moment, but you just got to make sure that you're putting the right stuff in your filing tray, feeding the printer with the right paper so it can print on nice things. You know what I mean? Because the mind will always work. It's always doing its job, always doing its job. You know what I mean? Never didn't. But you have to, I mean, like if you eat burgers, you're going to get fat. You know what I mean? If it's like, if you drink loads of beer, you're going to get drunk. There's always going to be a reaction to low vibrational stuff, right? So just to go through that, is your inner child okay? Ask yourself, do you feel safe enough to go inside? And too much doing is going to send you into that frenzy. Stillness. So this whole thing about not feeling safe, it got really, really bad, perimenopause, ADHD, and all of this all at the same time over the past 2 months, and it's rocked my world, right? And I needed to come inside, and then I realized I couldn't, because I felt so unsafe inside as a starseed. That's why I was doing. It wasn't available to me to come in here. So it's all well and good me saying, yeah, go inside. But if your inner child is in turmoil and you've got too much noise in here, it's like having a dysfunctional home. You're going to take up extra shifts at the cafe so you don't have to spend any time at home, right? So we need to make sure that the temple is a happy place. So make sure that you spend a lot of time here of just addressing why, how, if there's any noise that comes up, like listen, like what do I do here? It's always inner child stuff, as we know, but I mean, like it's that presence. And this is how maybe you're going to use the principles to navigate that, because you can, you know what I mean? So yeah, so that is your principle of correspondence. Is everybody okay? Because I'm kind of like flying through this. If anybody needs to ask a question, you just holler, because that's the only way you're going to stop me. Can you imagine what it's like being married to me? My poor husband. Well, I don't think he's poor at all. I love it, because he's a very quiet man. So I get to talk all the time. Okay. So now next one, number 3, principle of vibration. Now, we kind of know this speaks for itself, right? Vibration is vibration. Now, I'm going to share something with you. I've got another book list. Good. All good. Awesome. I've got another book list because, like I say, all of these things are specific. Told you, I'm like, you're getting the full gospel today. So I had a teacher many years ago, but I love her and I still follow her. Danielle Hoffman. Okay. She's basically she's a pure channel and a pure scribe for Thoth. And she wrote a book called The Tablets of Light. Now, it is an absolutely, so what was the name of the book? Which one? Which book did you want, Becky? Which one?
The Tablets of Light.
The Tablets of Light. Yeah. So the Tablets of Light is actually called, yes, that book, Laurie, is amazing. And it's a Bible. So she's a pure scribe. I actually did one of our courses and she's absolutely incredible. No ego, no fluff, just gets it done. And her book has got all of these. I suppose in a way, it's like a whole bunch of new principles. I know it's a great book. A whole a bunch of new principles, which kind of like add into this. So I think by reading that, it's actually, you know, and this is like in your own time. I'm not putting stuff on your plate to make it, you know, just to help you. There's something in there called vibrational autonomy. Okay. And we're going to do an exercise with this now. Okay. So now everything she writes is pure Thoth. Really, really powerful. He speaks about vibrational autonomy. It's kind of like an alchemy. So your body is spinning in a vortex in at a certain speed all the time, right? So that's obviously if you get sick, it's a bit slower. But imagine you being healthy, centered, you're all good, right? So it's spinning. Now, he says, obviously, we understand like soul retrievals or whatever, aspects of you that have broken off are obviously vibrating at a lower pace. So you visualize yourself as that thing outside of you vibrating at a lower place, right? But it's outside your vortex. So instead of getting into the wheres, the whys, the hows, or whatever it is, you visualize spinning your vortex, and we're going to do it in a minute so you can feel it. And anything you become aware of that's outside of you, if it gives you an identity, great. You know what I mean? If it's a thing you've been working on, you're like, yeah, there's that relationship, or there's that fear of channeling, or whatever it might be, you're going to feel it. So if it gives itself an identity, fine. And then what you do as you're spinning it as fast as you can, you kind of suck up all of the lower bits outside of you and it gets whipped up in your vortex. So it's just like, you know, doing a whole like baking really, when you've got your little things going, it just whips everything up. And that's what he calls vibrational autonomy. And that is kind of like what it is. It's about parts and aspects of you that break off, that aren't quite in alignment. So just before I came on the call now, like, amazing. Yes, that's what you do when you dance. Yeah, 100%. Everything's a vortex, right, Becky? It's like, you know, exactly. And you might be able to do that, like if you hold that conscious vision, maybe when you're running or doing, you know, your yoga, whatever. But like in meditation, you can zip it up. So it's a form of alchemy. And I think what's so lovely about this is we can care less about the thing, the story, the whys, blah, 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 and just know that that's low vibration, this is high vibration, and this needs to match that, period, because we want to be in harmony. So I like it because it's like, doesn't get you into that, right? So for this, the principle of vibration, I would say, this is the principle that really pushes home vibrational, energetic self-care, right? Violet flame, flames, white flame, flames of Sekhmet, whatever. Clean your energy every single day. Love yourself enough to put some protection around. You know what I mean? And just, you know, I don't actually do it enough. Do you know what I mean? The day runs out and you're like, oh my God. But it's like, you know, we have to really, really love ourselves enough to actually give our energy a good judging, you know? And also as well with this, write this down because this is a very powerful, you know, me and my one-liners. Most powerful thing to say in your meditations or in the mornings, any energy I have given away or left behind, I call back to myself now. Any energy I have given away or left behind, I call back to myself now. One more time. Any energy I have given away or left behind, I call back to myself now. Okay? Very, very powerful in just doing a quick sweep. Sat with people that you didn't dig, been in a mall. Do you know what I mean? And he had a bad dream. Do you know what I mean? I did it when I was very, very sick. I crawled up to my upper altar there. I was so sick. And I remember sat there going, any energy I've given to X, Y, and Z, I call back to my energy now. Any energy I've given to this, I call back to myself now. And then I went, any energy I've given to the temples or left behind, I call back to myself now. I nearly flew off my chair backwards. Whoa. And all of this energy came back. And in the moment it was coming at me, bro, that was a sign to say that the old timeline in Egypt is done, which is why 2025, brand new timeline. Do you know what I mean? It was like, right, yep, bring all your energy back now. Right, thanks for that, which was in alignment with all this. So even with the temples that you're connected to, a lot of you are sacred travelers as well. A lot of you probably hold your own groups as well, whatever. And you know, if you've been working in other places, distance, or you actually been there, I strongly suggest, because this is all to do with vibration, pull your energy back now because that timeline has collapsed. So you don't want to be fragmented. You want everything back here. When you move out of a house, You gather all your shit together, you pack everything up, and then you move to the old house. You don't leave anything behind, right? Or actually anything you don't want, you do leave behind. And that's a great thing as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. So are we good? Are we feeling all right?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So self-ground, so grounding, connecting to the cosmos, as we did when we walked up, your self-practice, that, you know what I mean? So I would to sum up this vibration, this principle of vibration. So how would we change vibration? Stillness, breath, presence. Let's just call it Eckhart, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. High intensity exercise. Okay. I mean, like Becky, you've just said it, you dance and everything like that, physical movement. Now, I was an exercise specialist for 19 years. So I was like really addicted to exercise. Now it's like completely different. Now I will go and get my trainers on for a different reason. I'll go and do 10 minutes and I'll go and sprint in the woods with the dogs just to shift one energy to another. Because when you've gone from walking and then all of a sudden you're like, you'll be so surprised as to how you can just kick some energy out. And that might be like 5 minutes of just doing, I don't know, jumping jacks or whatever. That's shifting frequency. You know what I mean? So don't like overlook the obvious, right? Because that's really, really powerful. Grounding. Now, just a little tool to chuck in there as well. We know grounding, let's become the roots of the earth, blah, 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 blah. But grounding is acceptance. Acceptance of everything. Acceptance is the key to joy. So when we are resisting, very much mentalism, correspondence and mentalism, when we're resisting because everything's just horrible, acceptance, when we come into that still space and we allow, acceptance is actually very grounding because you don't have to fight against it. Yeah, I'm not going to fix it. Going kind of like, fuck it, oh, I don't care. That's not acceptance. Acceptance is allowance. It is what it is, and I'm safe. But of course, if you don't have that access to in a world being safe, of course, you're going to not be able to accept at all. You know what I mean? So then you go back to that previous principle and go, oh, let me have a chat to my inner child. Let me go back to the principle of correspondence. Do you see how it kind of, they jump backwards and forwards with everyday life? You know what I mean? That's how these principles work, So that there, oh yeah, I've actually written here. I really am letting you into the life of Marie. I've written at the bottom there, the mall. I don't know about you, but when I've been spiritualing way too hard, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, Janine, that you're nodding your head because I was like, am I just like a crackpot here? I'm sat in the mall with so much noise, having coffee, and I love it because it just makes me feel of the world with the world. You know what I mean? Love it. Yeah. So the mall, 100%. So I'm not alone on that one then, Yeah, so doing things where you can just disengage and just be. And you know what? Sometimes that's a glass of wine. Ain't nothing wrong with a priestess that likes a drink. Sekhmet loves beer. And I tell you what, all sisters of Sekhmet, me too. I love a gin and tonic. Yeah, I tell you, like Sekhmet likes her sisters and her children, they drink. We might not be getting lit in the club until 4 a.m., but you know what? It's just like we got everything in balance. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes having a glass of wine in a bar is being good to yourself, right? So now that, ladies and gentlemen, is the principle of vibration. Okay. So, okay, we're going to do that meditation, or it's only going to be 5 minutes. It's more like a tap in, like tool, So this is what it feels like. So we're going to close our eyes and we're going to do the vibrational autonomy, and we're going to whip it up. Okay. So just closing your eyes and coming into your space. And now just visualizing yourself. I would say standing. And start to bring your focus to your feet. You sacredly give your yes to your vortex to start spinning. And as it starts spinning, and you know what? Interesting to see if it's anti-clockwise or clockwise, that can give you some information. There's no right or wrong here. As you start to spin the energy and spin the vortex, you might be just all around you, or you can just breathe in and breathe out. And as you do so, you feel it rise and you feel it rise, and you may feel a tingle in your legs as it gets higher. Maybe some heat in the body as it gets higher, but this is your personal vortex. Spinning, spinning, spinning until you are in this beautiful channel of vortex. And now once you've got it all the way around, you may want to spin it a little bit faster. And I always spin mine like just for clearing, play with it. Anti-clockwise, take stuff out, clockwise, bring stuff in. But for this purpose now, this is your natural vortex. And I'm really hot when I spin it, really hot. Now take a moment or two to get comfortable with this visualization and holding your energy in this way. And as you hold your power, become very well aware of other aspects broken off from you, which is outside of your vortex. They may be different colors, but they are most certainly vibrating and spinning at a lower pace and frequency. Become aware of where they are around you. It may be just one that's showing itself to you, or it may be many. Allow the mind to step aside and allow your energy to show you what needs to be brought home. And when you feel ready, you can take a nice big deep breath in. And as you exhale, you can spin now your vortex super fast and give it the command to draw in any low vibrational aspects now. Bring it in, expand your vortex a little bit wider so it can actually bring in all of those energy parts. They cannot resist. They bring in and they just come into this beautiful formula mix of light and frequency. And now your vortex sparks and it crackles with energy. And it's almost like it's alive more so than it was before because you've just fed it with good energy. You've given it something more to work with and you all of a sudden feel like more expansive. Your energy field might feel a little bit bigger. And if you feel you want to take your vortex a little bit wider, you can. Go where it needs to go. And then it will just naturally, once it's consumed and integrated the lower frequency, it will just start to slow down and spin at the rate that it wants. Just take a moment to check in with your body and see how that feels. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. How did that feel for everybody? You feel that? Yeah? I don't know. Every time I work with you guys, we're in a group. I'm like, even before I came on the call, I was like, these guys, man. Because it's like the energy's so high. It's because of you lot as well. And I felt that like really intensely. I was like super hot because we're doing it together. I was just like, whoo. This is what I'm saying. Like gathering in the temple, you can do your work on yourself together. So glad you liked it, Nadina. You can do your work together and it amplifies what you're doing, which is why, you know, this is just brilliant. So you felt that, you can feel that. So that is vibrational autonomy, which is one of Thoth's gifts for us. Another way to clean your energy. Okay. So that is the principle of vibration. Now, this is my favorite principle of polarity. Now, I have a mental alchemy meditation. I think maybe rather make a note. I got emotional because yes, yeah. Okay, so do expect, like Becky's just shared there. You're gonna get you're not just gonna clear your energy field. You're gonna have conversations, you know. So yeah, so now you're gonna work with that more, Becky. Like, you know what I mean? See what else comes in now. See where it leads you, you know. So so now for the polarity, there is a meditation on my YouTube called Mental Alchemy. Probably easier for you to make a note and work with this, because what I'm going to talk you through now is actually in a nice long meditation. But once you've listened to it once, you get the gist and then you can actually work with it, right? But I'm going to explain to you how it works. So, principle of polarity, all about alchemy, right? And the way it works, right? And I've explained this before, but I'm gonna really go into it now. So think about a bottle, a pot of water, right? And it's hot and it's boiling away, right? Eventually, the water gets cooler and cooler and cooler and cooler until it becomes cold water, right? So it went from hot, it went to cold. That's the principle of polarity. It's still water. It's just a varying degree change of the water. So when we take that into emotions and we take that into, belief systems or whatever it might be, okay, what happens is everything, we go back to the origin source codes again. Everything comes from the origin source codes, obviously, same as these laws and principles do. So, for example, somebody who is in extreme fear, right? A while ago, they were in their courage. But what happened is they were courageous and everything was wonderful. And then something happened. You're like, oh God, didn't like that. I'm a little less courageous now, but I'm still courageous. Something else comes. Human life gets involved. Lifetime after lifetime, it happens again and again and again until you get bashed so much that eventually what happens is that courage gets panel beated so much that you arrive at its lowest expression, which is fear. So it's not that fear is way separate from courage. It's the same thing. It's just two expressions. This goes back to what I was saying to you guys about the principle of mentalism and misunderstanding what something is. All of a sudden we're like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? Fear is untapped power. Fear is untapped magic. You just haven't gone there yet. Fear is actually the golden gift. It's the one thing that's waiting for you going, hey, come get me. You got to crack the nut. You got to tap it open. You got to use the Hermetic principles to unlock it. These are all of these golden anks that we're supposed to unlock, right? But we just go, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Do you know what I mean? So basically, let's talk about the opposites. We've got doubt and clarity. Clarity is your origin source codes. Doubt is your lowest expression, right? Anger, peace. You know what I mean? The list goes on. So basically now you've got, say like, look, my base thing is fear of failure, everything, right? Fear. Being a drug addict for as long as I was in my younger years, you know what I mean? 3 nervous breakdowns, anxiety, blah, blah, blah. That's my old story. But my point is just being so fearful from the second I think I got onto this planet, and I've had to combat that. And now I come and do these tours, and I'm now got to get out there and share the light. And I'm like, and I probably had about 5 million deaths doing it, but I did it anyway. And I share it because the thing is, we cannot look at somebody and go, oh, it's so amazing. They're on YouTube or they're on Insta. They're killing the game. And then you say, I'll never be like that. No, we need to talk about it. Don't tell me that teacher hasn't gone through a meltdown with her husband the night before. Don't tell me that she's had to actually have like complete, most of us have got a lot of shit going on behind the scenes. But the thing is, if we don't share it, there's no connection, which means you sit there basically procrastinating, going, well, I can't do what she does because your mind has told you that person's better than me and it's unattainable. Your mind's created that. That's your reality, right? So this is why if we start to make the journey inward, stop looking at the lanes, left and right, left and right, left and right, you're so welcome. Like, if we start looking at like keeping in our lane and we focus in on here, because at the end of the day, this is your movie anyway. You've created it. There ain't nothing for you to understand. Come in here. Okay. Focus on what you're doing. So now if you were like fear, like me, you're going to work with the mental alchemy. And every day you're going to bring that up. You're going to open your heart. You're going to allow the space for that fear to rise up through the heart. And then once it gets to the heart, you can then switch over and go, I am courage. I am. And you'll feel it. Excuse me. Join your energy field. So the way I work with it is when I feel. So first things first, and this all speaks in the meditation. So don't worry if you're kind of like, what did she say? The meditation speaks you through exactly this. So say you're working with, like, let's talk about doubt, writhing in doubt. So you sit with doubt, you think of as many things possible to trigger that doubt. Let it run wild. So you really feel it, right? And in your meditation, you're going to say to yourself, open your awareness. I am aware. And you expand your energy right out. You open your heart. You create space and acceptance and allowance for that negative emotion to come and join you on the sofa, to come and join you for dinner. Stop ushering it out the door. Can you sit there and be okay with its presence? Yes, you can, because it's a golden ankh. Because if I allow it, then I can unlock it and then I can transform it into my power. So doubt, feel it, keep opening the heart. And you might have to sit with it for a while. It might stammer a little bit, but then all of a sudden you'll have this sigh. And that's when we know when we're doing energy work, if somebody sighs or something like that, we're like, oh, something's happening. Then it comes up and then you say the opposite. I am clarity. I am clarity. And you literally, as I'm saying that, you literally feel your energy field expand. And you may wake up the next day and be right in the depths of that doubt. It didn't mean that it didn't work. It just means there's more of it. Keep going. Like a magician's sleeve. Keep pulling it out till there's nothing else, until it's done. Remember, you've taken lifetimes to create this. Give it a day or so. Do you know what I'm saying? You're not going to tap it in one go. Do you know what I mean? But just don't, I always call it putting my foot on its head. I'm like, I ain't going anywhere until this is done. So there needs to be a little bit of that. Do you know what I mean? We ain't leaving this until we're feeling something else, until we're feeling its origin source codes. You know what I mean? So that is what polarity is. Okay. Now this is like, okay, how I work with it. Now I'm going to take you into quite a bit of a mental body here on how to work with polarity. It's absolutely brilliant. So for example, if you wake up on a day and you're like, okay, I'm feeling depressed and I can't shake this and I don't know what it is, go on to Word Hippo. Work with me here. This is so not spiritual, but it works. Go on to Word Hippo, which is like the thesaurus, and you put in depression. What's the opposite word for depression? They will give you pages of opposites of depression. You will go down that list and you'll go, holy shit, I didn't know that that was the opposite to it. And now all of a sudden it will give you a map and compass because you thought that something else was the opposite to it, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. When you do have the identity of an emotion, go onto Word Hippo, go and have a look at all the other expressions of what it could be. And something will jump off the page and you go, oh my God, I'm going to transform it into that. And then all of a sudden you've rerouted, you've gone in a different way because you thought that it was something else. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So Word Hopper, really not spiritual, but like really, really powerful, you know? So that's your principle of polarity. And you have the mental alchemy meditation, which you can totally dive into with that. All right. So I'm going to keep moving on because we might be able to get through these principles. You know what I mean? Because we're doing quite well. I might go over a little bit. So I apologize. If you have to go, no problem, because you can get the recording, but I'm going to try and complete these because I think that we're in flow. So now we have the principle of rhythm. Now, I love this tagline. We want to go with the ebbs and flows, and we want to stay well away from the highs and lows. Difference between ebbs and flows, difference between highs and lows. Ebbs and flows, skipping through the daisies with your hair in plaits, and you're like, whew, this is amazing. Highs and lows, dark night of the soul, want to kill myself, and face down in the flowers with your ass in the air. So that's the difference. Now I know which one I would rather be with. So I'm just saying, I wanted to say it like that, just so it went into your consciousness that is what we're not doing. Okay. So ebbs and flows are good, but highs and lows are not. Okay. So ebbs and flows, that's the death, rebirth, and resurrection, right? That's breathing, that's expanding, that's like going with the flow, right? But when it's when it's highs and lows, that's too much extreme. That is the negative side of your solar plexus. Solar plexus energy will be like a pendulum swing. You'll go, I'm so depressed. Oh, I'm so happy and blissed. Do we not know? Have we all experienced high portal days where you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm creating. And it's like you've done about 5 lines of cocaine. And then the next day you're actually, boof, got no energy left. That's a high and low, even though you might be being spiritual. You know, we don't want to do that. So when these really high energies come in, you need to step into your mastery and hold that energy, because when it takes you away instead of you taking it away, that means it's overrun you. Got to anchor it. Maybe don't create in the morning. Maybe get more of a footing first and then do something. You're the boss. You're the master. Okay. Yes, Rome was not built in a day, even though I think so, because I'm so impatient. But anyway, so now, death, rebirth, and resurrection. This is what rhythm speaks of, right? We got to be willing to die. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Jesus Christ, we've done it enough. We're masters at dying. I know I am. Do you know what I mean? But I want to live now. I want to live, you know? It's like one thing we can actually all agree on in this group, that we have mastered dying. Yes? Are we in agreement? Yeah, are we in agreement? So say again? Did somebody say something then? Oh, it was a laugh. Okay, so now, do you react or do you respond? I'm just giving you ideas like rhythm. Like that's not an ebb and flow thing. Do you punch them in the throat or do you just smile? I mean, like, you know, it's like, do you react or do you respond? Overreacting, okay? It's like, you know, you're in that response thing because you're defensive, right? So it's about balance. That brings you back to presence again. So this is going to cut everybody's bullshit out. Like, basically, it's really hard being sensitives. I know probably most of us here can basically be with people, they're speaking, but you're getting a whole different conversation from their energy, right? And you pick it up on the coffee table next door, and you pick it up on that person, and you're just like, oh my God. And it's like we have extra eyes. It's difficult, it's hard, and it will always be so. It's our superpower, right? But it's like but I've realized that since I've been now cleared all of this stuff over this last month, I've now been able to come into the presence, and I find myself not getting into the bullshit. It's all going on over there. So I just remove myself. Whereas before I'd be in the middle of that text messaging trying to defend myself. No, not doing it. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Going to go back here. My presence is everything. And I'm not risking that for anyone. Do you know what I mean? So overreacting, all of these things is basically, to do with the principle of rhythm. Know when to take action, know when to rest. Okay, really important. That's what, if you go to the moon cycles, and I'm going to just say to you guys, if you can follow it for the new moon. So I basically completed all the cycles on YouTube. I wrote them out on posts, right? And I know some of you have read them, and I put it up for those that were building altars. And as I was writing them out, I was like, damn, this is actually really like healing and cathartic writing this out, because the most recent one we're just coming out of now, which is the waning, I can't remember, but anyways, the one just before the new moon, it was talking about rest and recovery and stillness. And if you want to follow these moons, it's going to give you a beautiful marriage with the Hermetic principles, because they're both the same. You got to know with the Hermetic principle, well, being in a human existence, what's it all about? We're here to master the human experience, right? We need to know when to duck, when to run, when to be still, when to love, when to rest, when to get going. Do you know what I mean? These principles are going to help you do that with the moon cycles. So you look at the moon cycles now, and you can go into Marie's things on the posts on YouTube. And yes, son. Yes. Where are you, love? You can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, I'm here. Hello. You know, I'm gutted. I arrived an hour late, and I was literally watching the clock all day. I got in a muddle with the difference in time because I'm in the UK. Couldn't be
Okay.
more gutted. I was literally at 3 o'clock. I was on one of your other YouTubes, like commenting. Anyway, I hope it's okay that I ask you this now.
Yes, of course.
I used to really follow the moon, and then I've found out quite a lot of things that I'm not very I don't know how to describe it. I'm pretty devastated about.
Yes.
And now I'm sort of like I've got a bit of black and white. Like I'm not following the moon because of all this like the control energy and everything. And I don't want to talk about that because I don't know who's in the room and I don't know what other people's opinions are.
Yeah.
But as soon as I hear people talking about the rhythms of the moon, I'm like, I've got to like walk out the room and like press mute, and I don't want to hear it. And I'm aware that that's black and white on my part, but I just need to find some way to integrate what I've learned and still faith in the authenticity of what goes on with the moon and not what's manipulated.
Yes.
I don't know if I can have a conversation with you and you can point in the right direction.
Yeah,
So I don't know who's in the room.
No, it's fine. Absolutely fine. And we can have a conversation about that, but I can just like quickly address that here now as well. I mean, like, everybody has their own truth, 100%. Everybody has come here in lifetimes past and have had experiences with Egypt. Lots of people have gone to Egypt and have very, very dark experience. Do you know what I mean? I've had people that would go to walk in the temples and hit the deck. And then there'll be other people who are just writhing in joy and just like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? So you're no different with the moon. You've had an experience in this life and past lives as well, because that's where it will be bleeding through, right? And that is your truth right now. But that is shadow. But it's not to go, dismiss it, because it's your truth. So you have to embrace it. And you have to bring it into your space and accept it and go, do you know what? It's okay that I leave the room. Do you know what I mean? It's good for me. It makes me feel better. Does it make you feel great sitting there listening to people? No, because it's triggering you. So you need to take yourself out of a space which is traumatic for you and give yourself a hell of a lot of love, because it's coming from an experience in the past, which is going to be crashing down from your old timeline, right? And then you sit with this space and you go, right, okay. So I've not got a good thing going on with the moon. I'm going to sit with this, and I'm just going to sit with spirit, and I'm not going to listen to anybody else. I'm not going to listen to any other videos. I'm just going to be in my own bubble, and I'm going to speak to my own team, my higher self, and I'm my inner child, and I'm going to find out where that's coming from, and then just be led. I think it's okay to be you. It's okay to feel what you feel, and it's valid. How many of us like I've been doing videos on the witchy wound, I call it the witchy wound. How many of us have actually gone through some big stuff over the last couple of months? All of that memories come up. I got to the point that I couldn't even watch priestesses on Instagram because it just made me want to punch them in the face. I'm sorry, but it did. I'm being super honest now. Okay. I'm being super honest because I would just be like, that's just bullshit. And I was just like, and then I went through my darkness because I was like, Marie, you're a space holder. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be looking like that. But I was going through a very, very dark time of where I've been done over by so many priestesses in my past life that I couldn't sit in a room with them. I never did women's groups. I was just like, I ain't doing that. And then a year ago, I went to Avalon and I attended a women's group. I had every intention that I was going to leave on day 3. I kept my hire car and everything. I was like, I'm going to go, but then I'm out. Okay. Because I obviously was being called there. And I said to Spirit, I'm done. Because if anybody starts talking all priestessy, I'm literally going to like clothesline them. And I was like, this is really bad. This like energy. I was like, what's going on? So I sat with that and I went through my pain and it was just like, it just rose up. And that's what this mental alchemy, this particular part, right? I would say to you, I would encourage you to work with on this. Let all the other bullshit go. People in your life, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just do you, boo. Okay. Go where what makes you feel safe. And I want you to work with the mental alchemy meditation and see what comes up, because that's how you're going to draw the energy out and transmute it. But you're going to be able to just get away from the story. Otherwise, you're going to keep looping. You know what I mean? But there's just energy that needs to be cleared. So it's okay that you don't follow the moon. So don't follow it then. You know what I mean? How does that sound?
Oh, that sounds absolutely great. I think for me, it's a case of I need to sort of, what's the word? Integrate it, find the balance.
Yes, find the balance. Exactly. Where did I say balance? Yeah, I was just talking about balance, wasn't I? Yes. The rhythm. So we were just talking about overreacting. Anything, right? Rule of thumb. And this is good for us because this is the principle of rhythm. When you overreact to something, look, we're humans. Somebody says something like, oh God, whatever. Do you know what I mean? You know, and it's like there's a balanced reaction to it, whatever, it's fine. But when it's like runs deep and you're like to the point you've got to leave the room, that is a spiritual blockage. And that's okay. Because that's what we came for, to clear spiritual blockages. So instead of like worrying about whether it's okay if you behave like that, embrace it and be like, oh, this is something I need to work with. And you're going to be able to take this energy, alchemize it and unlock something inside of it. So don't be scared of it. It's a gift. And, you know, F everybody else, do you? You know what I mean? You know, those that matter don't mind and those that mind don't matter. Right? So I think that this is a very, very powerful point for you to gain your mastery on this. So I think work with the mental alchemy meditation and you'll be able to shift the energy with that or start the process to moving out of it. How does that sound?
Oh, fabulous. Thank you very much.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. And don't worry, questions are so welcome. I love questions. I really do. Not like I've got any short answers.
Oh, no, don't tell me that. I'm used to being normally when you're on these calls with people who are like way shows, you just sit in silence and they talk at you and you want to ask a question, but you can't.
Don't feel it. Well, that's why I did a Zoom room, because I do a live stream at the beginning of the month for this reason. So yeah, put your hand up, man. Do you know what I mean? Because that's why I made it like the temple. So if there were questions throughout the month. So yeah, and also as well, just on that, for those of you that regularly turn up at the temple, if throughout the month you have questions, pop them in YouTube for me, and then I can bring them into the space, because I want this place to be interactive. I don't want it to just be the Marie show. Actually helps me when you say, actually, I'm really struggling with what you posted there. Can we talk about it in the temple? Let's do that. You know what I mean? Is that cool?
Oh, it's fabulous. That's community, isn't it? Where we can actually have a conversation. It's like talk with people, not be talked at.
Yes, exactly. So you're most welcome. You're most welcome here. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I am going to keep on rolling through these principles. And then, like I say, if anybody needs me to kind of carry on conversations or whatever, that's what YouTube's about. It's like, you know, I'm here to be in service to myself, obviously, but to you guys as well. And you guys help me. That's what it's about. We're all teachers together and we always learn off each other. That's what my channel's all about. This is what it's, you know, this is what it's here for. So where did we get to? So rhythm. So yeah, so now what you were just saying actually about overreacting, you know what I mean? It's like get out of that rhythm and actually come into the energy of back into your presence so you can listen, so you can hear, you know? What else? To pause. Yes, so I've just written much the same here. The ticket of all of these things to be able to work with these principles is those questions. Get it in there. What story am I telling myself? Ooh, put the brakes on, because you want to do that to be able to bring yourself into the present moment so you can listen. Otherwise, like I say, you go from creative to crackhead or whatever it might be. So it's being able to stop the momentum and keep taking yourself inward. It's the answers. It's only here. It's only here, right? So now, number 6, okay, is the principle of cause and effect, right? Now this is a big one. I love it because it keeps me in check all the time. What's your contribution? So I'm a terrible one for going, oh, the energies are so big and I'm feeling so sick. And I message my friend and I'm like, what? And then I delete it. Because in that moment, that was my contribution, being a whiny. You know what I mean? And I was like, whoa, I want to take that back. So in every moment, if you're stuck on a course and you don't like it, shit, I'm doing this course and I really don't like it. Well, let me just endure it to the end. Well, guess what? That's what you're putting into the universe. Stuff that you don't like. So the universe says, oh, she likes things that she doesn't like. There you go. Okay. I'm really going to go to this meeting. I don't want to do this, but let me just see it through to the end of the year. Okay, so what's your contribution? So again, it goes back to being that bouncer of your own experience, that security, right? So everything has a cause and effect, as we know, right? Something super simple. I got a really shit bloody ring light for my computer. It didn't work. It blew up straight away. And I was like, well, I'll tell Amazon how I feel about it. I've got a live today. And I went to like type away on my keyboard and I was going to press send. And I was like, oh no. Because once I put that out there, not that there's going to be a problem. It's just that I have a negative comment out there now. That somebody's going to go, Marie from Cape Town said, don't buy it. It's shit. And I just thought, well, no, I don't want to do that. So that's a very, very basic, like, you know, thing of just saying, it's okay, whatever. Even if somebody's done you a dirty, it's your movie. So are you going to blame or are you going to say, what, go back in, go back in. So really, this is very simple. Principle of cause and effect. You know what I mean? Whatever you say, whatever you do, whatever you think, I suppose, mentalism is going to come back to you, you know? So that's that, isn't it? You know, it's like, so resentment towards others, fear, inner child needs you. So if you're feeling fear and you're like sat there and you're just like, wow, okay, that, even though you're not speaking it, that's your contribution. That's your energy contribution. So if you're not dealing with your fear or you're not doing the work or taking responsibility for the movie that you've made, you're sitting in this victim mode, you're going to get much of the same, which goes back to correspondence, mentalism. You know, do you see how it just weaves and weaves and weaves, right? So what you put out there comes back to you. You are the creator, no one else, no one else. So every single thing you do, shooting somebody, and like, if you say, hi, I always say to the ladies that clean toilets, hi, how are you? And I give them eye contact because that's my contribution. And they received it. I don't really care how it's received because that's not my business, but it's just like, you know, like, what am I going to put out there? You know? So be really, really conscious of that. Okay. So that is your principle of cause and effect. Like Isis said, when I first started doing groups and things like that, it's very, very difficult when you're dealing with all different walks of life and you're one person and everybody wants answers from you and you're in the middle of Egypt and it's just intense. And I remember the first tour I did, somebody was actually quite rude to me. And I was so tired and I just wanted to like spit out something. And then Isis just said, take a breath. I did. And then she said, don't react, respond. And I was like, okay. And because that was my story. I was tired. Do you know what I mean? She wasn't very pleasant, but it was just like that was a lesson. That's my movie. Take responsibility for it. Take a breath and then respond. Don't you know what I mean? Don't get out of balance. That principle of rhythm as well, right? So that's pretty basic. You know, what you are contributing in every moment is going to upset or exacerbate your manifestations in a good way, right? Now, number 7, this is the final one. Are we getting through it, guys? I'm not too late here, okay? So number 7, gender. Always a difficult one in this current day and age. Oh my goodness, I don't really want to speak this one out in case there's like all sorts of different opinions. This is not strictly a feminine and a masculine thing, as in like, but gender, the divine masculine, divine feminine, as we know, they are two aspects: balance, receptive, active forces that create, there is creation and generation in the universe. So I'm going to say that again: balance, receptive, active forces equals creation and generation in the universe. It's frequency and vibration, man. It's nothing else but that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the cosmic womb, So it's like, I mean, I wrote here as well, which I was just like, they can't have got it wrong, because everybody's banging on about divine masculine and feminine in the ancient way, that like in the beginning there was like, there was a light and all the rest of it. Like, it's a real thing. So that's where Heka and magic and medicine. So if you do not have an invested, belief in that, then of course you're not going to be able to manifest. But it's not a necessarily woman-man thing, is it? It's basically about divine masculine, divine feminine, two opposite genders, which is on an energetic level is creation, right? So that is like, yeah, that is basically what it is. So I mean, I suppose in a way that would be tapping us into balance, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? To like the yin and yang. Okay. You know what I mean? It's like everything is a balance, right? There's always going to be a night and day. There's always going to be a winter and a summer, So yeah. So I now say the universe brings me gifts of love. I am ready to receive. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So when you're with the divine masculine, of course, that brings you very, very powerful templates. It supports you. It protects you. It brings order to your chaos, because energy likes order. Don't matter. You got to go back to the Ma'at principles. She ain't going to have it any other way. Energy likes, without any order in the universe, we're all pretty effed, basically. But the divine masculine comes and he supports and everything like that, So yes, thank you. So he supports and he holds space for the divine feminine creation codes to come in and land in, right? So the divine feminine creation codes, ideas, vision, play, the womb. It's where we put everything into like a cauldron. It's where we cook everything. You know what I mean? It's where we do alchemy and everything like that. So the divine masculine, divine feminine, we have to have those two processes to be able to bring things in manifestation, right? And I know we all know this back to front, So now rest, recovery, and rebirth is that of the divine feminine. And then of course, action with order to the energy is the divine masculine. So that's your gender, basically. That's your gender. So that there is the 7 principles, okay? And this is how I would understand them. And I will probably do videos on YouTube where I'll just do it about mentalism as they pop up and everything like that. So watch out for that you can actually just go a bit deeper into it. But I think you guys are so connected and you guys have done so much work yourselves, and thank you. I just want to share this because this is important, because this is about the masculine and feminine. And thank you, Azira. So Azira is saying he's non-binary. Thank you. And I think of them as not necessarily masculine and feminine, man, women. They are yin and yang. They are in balance, and they need, and the needle and thread. You need both dancing together to weave together the cloth of the universe. That's beautiful. Azira is like such a beautiful writer. That is so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it's always in this current age, very difficult to express. Joshi, how are you doing? It's always difficult to express those kind of things, which is basically very, very high vibe in this current day and age. So I really love the freedom of that. And I fully respect, everything. But there is a divine masculine and feminine. Weaving is a wonderful way to put that together, right? So now I know that I am 6 minutes going on, but I would really like to end us on a meditation with Thoth to kind of like really bring it in. So I do understand if people have got to sign off, because like this was a big class. Let me tell you, I feel like I could eat a steak and chips now. I'm really hungry. So we're going to go into a meditation because I like to just bring it all in. So I got to thank each and every one of you for being here, because it's always a collab. And for those that will join this group later, because they'll watch on the replay, because it's always energy travels, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? And I've always say it, and I always mean it so much, that without you, there's no me. Okay, so I can't teach like this if my starseed tribe didn't see my Batman sign in the sky. So thank you for seeing my Batman sign in the sky. Thank you. Because it's always so much fun. And yeah, and this is just, it just makes me very, very happy. So thank you so much for like always coming and bringing the energy and the magic. So now with Thoth, he's given us a lot to work with. I was doubtful, sorry, going to use that to get it up to clarity. I was worried that I wasn't going to get through it all and I was going to be rushing, but we're okay. So now I'm going to take you into a meditation where we're just going to let it all settle petal. And we're going to use the Metatron's cue to kind of embody everything that's been shared. And I would like to say that there is no one here and that is watching. If you're watching it, you know this stuff. If you're watching it, you've done this stuff. You just got memory recall. That's all. So we are all very aware of actually what this all means. Sometimes we just need to come together. It's just an excuse to get together because we're all masters. So we're going to bring all of that energy and consciousness. And I'm thanking Thoth from the depths of my heart for bringing forth such teachings because they're very, very fun to work with and they're very powerful. So blessings and blessings. So closing your eyes now. And we're going to do 3 power breaths because there's a lot of energy. So we're going to breathe in and a big power breath out, like go, blow it out. And we're going to breathe in again. Big power breath out. And then another really deep guttural one all the way in. And we're going to breathe out. And just feel like a golden ray bathing down upon you, like the morning sun, soothing your energy field, soothing your spiritual, mental, emotional bodies, feeling it like liquid honey just melt all the way through your physical body as well. And feeling the cosmic light codes of the golden energy of Thoth as it twinkles and sparkles, merging and weaving with the beautiful emerald light that you've got going on as well. And as this light shines down upon you, it's like a further embodiment of bringing all of this knowledge and wisdom, which is just memory recall. You haven't learned anything. You've remembered. And you're allowing that to wash it all the way down into the cells, coming into your physical being, into this here and now. And how wonderful and amazing and celebratory it is to be in physical incarnation. It is tough, but good times are going to roll. And that's why we came. So now, visualize yourself now. Walking through the lands of Egypt. And there's a peacefulness to your being. Like everything is just so. As you look across the lands, you can see all the beautiful golden temples, which actually look like they're made out of golden bars. And there's beautiful oasis everywhere. The desert, it glistens. Camels in the distance. And the water of the Nile flows past the Great Pyramids. And you're so close to the Nile, so you decide to take a walk. You can hear the water as it flows. And as you're walking through the desert, there's a sense of it's kind of hot, but you're leaving that place to walk to the Nile. And the Nile is rebirth. The Nile represents life. The Nile is the Milky Way reflected on the earth. And the Nile is Hathor. So you find yourself feeling so relaxed inside, walking towards the waters. And as you get close, you take a moment to look around at this absolute beauteous place. The papyri that grow on the side of the bank, the bird life, the water that flows, the sailboats in the distance of the men fishing, cattle on the bank. And there's just a sense of everything is well. For you have embodied the 7 principles. You always had them in truth. You have completed a very long cycle, a very long mission in honor of Thoth. And as you stand here, it's as if you're being rewarded now, the absolute blessings and gifts of what it's really supposed to look like. And without further ado, you don't even wait around. You just dive into the water. You dive in, you find yourself in this crystalline water of the Nile. And there is an ignition, a cleansing. Each breaststroke you take to pull yourself deeper into the water, there is like a release and a letting go of anything that's residual, anything that was left on you from past lifetimes, past moments. And you just keep swimming. And as you do so, you can breathe underwater and you look up to see the sun through the water. And the sun just sort of just bellows its light rays down. And there's just crystalline energy around you. And as this happens, it starts to stir up quite a frequency. And the water starts to vibrate. And then, as you're swimming, you can actually feel your crystalline body ignite. But these are golden codes, and you look up again at the sun's got brighter. And Ra speaks, bellowing your name. Dear one, you are so revered. You are so honored. And here you are immersed in the waters, the sacred waters of the land that is golden. It is time now for you to unlock the abundance, that which you always had. You were never robbed of this. You always had it, but there was a choice to walk this life knowing lack, knowing this pain, this suffering, this separation. But it was your choice to close this off. But your tablet of light now is in its fullness, and you are welcomed home by me, Ra, as I welcome you into my sacred waters, and I pour down my beams of light. Receive my golden energy now. Receive the activation. And as he says that, the energy really starts ramping now, and you feel your cells start to ignite. And what's happening is he is switching on all your codes, your abundance codes. You start to see flashes of citrine. Citrine is very much an abundance crystal, and you can feel it awakening in your solar plexus. And you just allow yourself to just lie in the waters and be held. There is nothing for you to do, only for you to receive. And here you are, just your body weight being held by the Nile. The golden codes, magic and frequency and Heka buzzing through the water. Your toes are tingling. You feel your fingertips tingling, and you can see the gold energy coming out your fingertips, because everything you touch will turn to gold now. Because you are an abundant creator being. And the awakening of the seven Hermetic Principles, now you have brought them through your being all these lifetimes to be seen, to be experienced, to be enjoyed, to be shared, to be lived by, to be graced. Everything just starts to come online. And then suddenly you feel yourself bob to the top of the water, lying on your back, floating down the Nile. You're just letting go. And now the sun of Ra just shines on your body, and you feel the warmth, such warmth of his love and energy, held like a baby in the Nile as you are reborn. And as the water flows, you suddenly drift off to the side, very, very still waters now. And you gently put your feet down and you walk out of the water. And there stands Thoth. So much love for this being, as he has for you. And he splays his arm out. Look at this beauty, heart. This was always part of your dimension. You just had to collapse the old timeline. And you say to him, this is heaven on earth. And he said, heaven is you, dear one. He stands before you in his truest form. Sacred ibis head and human body. And he's holding something in his hands. What does he have for you? He's giving you something. And this something holds the codes deeply, deeply encoded for the new timeline. You accept this from him graciously. You look deeply into his eyes, and there is such a powerful sense of equal, same, friends, brother, sister, Same. And there's an even deeper sense that you have arrived somewhere new, somewhere more truthful. And as you stand with Thoth now, the sun is setting over the desert, and you look at Ra, you honor the supreme God as he slowly lets go of the day. And the sky is just this beautiful red sunset. And now Hathor brings her sacred blood all through the skies. Her divine feminine is all around. And there is such love in your heart as you stand next to family, feeling a sense of wonderment, fulfillment, and peace like you've never known. And you will take this now into your life, into the new moon, and we will walk together in many places, energetically, in physical form, in many ways. For now is the time we came together. It was always ordained to be so. Breathe in this place now. And as you exhale, feel yourself come into your current place, leaving nothing behind. Ground into your space. Bring your energy into the Earth Star chakra. Give your deepest gratitude and thanks to the Nile, to the land, to Lady Egypt, especially to Thoth and the Supreme God Ra, and all of the other super beings. Many were here, many are here. Love and blessings. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Oh, I don't usually get lost for words. Okay, well, there was absolutely zero Metatron's cube in that, but that happens. That is. But that was the feeling. The feeling. So remember, the feeling is what the truth is. So when you have the moments when you drift off, let's come back to this moment here that we all felt together, because I know I felt it. A sense of relief, like, oh, I've even got goosebumps still now. I think we have shifted over to the other timeline. And even if you haven't fully, don't worry, it's coming. We've made the shift. So stay there. Stay there. And you know what? If you fall off your perch and you go back, you've got the Hermetic Principles. It's just another gift. That's all. And we've got each other. So we dive onto YouTube or we go back into the temple. So thank you so much for all of you attending and coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, that was just, oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. I get so excited for these temple teachings because I love it. I love it. I love it. I really do. So thank you. And next month is Sekhmet month because it's where all of her, you're so welcome. Next month, guys, we're going to be on fire. Now, like I said at the beginning, if anybody doubts that we haven't made the shift, let me tell you, Sekhmet's come in like a freight train. I had a completely different thing, blessings. I had a completely different thing that I was going to do next month. And she was like, oh no, push that out the way. This is what's happening. Now, of course, November is where all of our sacred dates are anyway. So I'm going to be probably doing more lives than just one because we all know how Marie loves Sekhmet and want to know we're all connected here. And there are 2 lives I've been invited to on Sunday. The details in the post. They're all free events, okay? So there's 4 of us teachers. It is admittedly in a 2-hour slot, so it might be quite hectic, but we'll see how we go. I suck bet for you. And that is going to be on Sunday. So that's 8 p.m. my time. But anyway, all the details are there. And then on the Wednesday, we've got a 3-hour set. And I'm with 2 other teachers who've got an hour each, completely different teachings. Just so they're 2 very, very... And what is weird is one was called Sekhmet Rising of the Heart or Awakening of the Heart. And the other one is called Sekhmet Rising. That's what it was. So there's something about the sun coming up. And what I sense and feel is the sun disk is coming up. here. So we know when we get our sun disk here, there's something goddessy and godlike going on, right? Do you know what I mean? So next month is not going to be a purgy month. It may be, maybe it will, I don't know, but it's going to be a quick fire. It's not going to be what we've been through. Sekhmet's coming through in a completely different energy. Like I said, Sekhmet comes in the beginning, burns everything down, smashes it to pieces. Then we die, we go and sit with Hathor in the womb, and then when she comes back in again, it's the phoenix rising. So it's a reclamation of power. Remember, I always said to you, you accept your core power, then you proclaim your power. Okay, so accept your power and then proclaim your power. You cannot proclaim your power until you've accepted it. So I think we've done that. And now she's granting us the time to proclaim. So we are going to have a very powerful month in November. And we have the 1111 portal and all of the things. So guys, we are there. We're there, you know, and I know it gets bumpy, but you know what? It's the tail end. It's the last bit of it, right? Leave no man behind. Okay, before I go into another 2-hour Sekhmet thing, I better go back because I might start channeling again in a minute. But no, thank you so much, my lovelies, for coming always. And I'll post this on YouTube so you can go back to it. But love and blessings, eh? Love and blessings from Cape Town to all of you. Mwah, 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 mwah. See you later. Okay.